Ladies and gentlemen, there is no exaggeration, there is no fabrication. It's media. It's just spontaneous existence, basically spontaneously discussing things the way they come and they arrive to my mind. And then, like anybody else, definitely. But I just bring things here that I find reliable and actually that make a difference in your knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, where are we heading as Americans? Where is the world heading at this point in time? We know America and Israel are very powerful together, doing a lot of damage in Iraq. And then, of course, we have witnessed the superiority so far. But we also have, likewise, witnessed the resilience of the Iranian people, the tenacity to overstand the problems that came to them and the tendency of continuing the war till the end without negotiations. Here is the latest news, and then I will go to the next chapter of my discussion today, and then we will spend a little time with a very, very knowledgeable politician after this show.
This week holds great significance for Iranians. It's supposed to be holiday season there. The Iranian New Year, or Nowruz, is on Friday. So this week is all about the prep. You clean your house, you shop a little, you visit your relatives. But this year, Iranians are besieged by war. And the regime is firing back. They're launching large-scale attacks on Israel and the Gulf. Overnight, we saw a joint attack. Iran fired ballistic missiles at Israeli cities. Meanwhile, the Lebanese Hezbollah joined with rockets. On cue, the air defenses were pressed into action. So far, more than 3,500 Israelis have been wounded in the war and around 15 people have been killed. Overnight, we also saw major attacks on Iraq. Iran fired around 5 drones.
That's only in 2 weeks. Over 3,000 Israelis have been injured.
The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. The strike caused an explosion inside the compound. Take a look.
عبرت مع بعض طقت
Iran also targeted the UAE's Fujairah port. This was the 3rd day of attacks on this facility, and once again it was up in flames. If you look at the map, you'll see why. Fujairah is located outside the Strait of Hormuz. If you set off from here, you sail directly into the Arabian Sea. You don't have to pass the strait. And this port exports nearly 1 million barrels of oil per day. Basically, it's a blind spot in Iran's energy choke. Hence the decision to bomb it. Of course, it was not all one-way traffic. The US and Israel continued their strikes inside Iran. Israel claims to have taken out 2 senior regime leaders. We'll tell you more about them later on the show. Meanwhile, the US hit Iranian missile launchers.
Ladies and gentlemen, if this doesn't stop, the Iranians, nothing will stop. All this kind of damage that you see. If this doesn't stop them, At this point in the conflict, nothing will stop. By the way, are they trying to invade it? Are they trying to take over the government and rule it by themselves? Can the Iranians elect their own leaders? The problem is very serious because can Americans and the Israelis accomplish? And then can they just take over the country? It's just very confusing. At this point, it sounds to me very confusing. I don't know if the leaders understand the extent of damage and when it's going to stop. Did they calculate? Did they expect this kind of stuff to come on? And hammering Iran as such, when does it stop? Are they really hitting the right targets in a way? And then what are the effects in the long run? Wow, it's extremely confusing. Let's continue. We have very interesting topic today to discuss later after the show, and please be patient.
We've been showing you these pictures for a while. Iranian missile launchers getting blown up. Yet, the missile launches continue. Why is that? Well, Israel says around 70% of Iran's launchers have been neutralized, 70%. They had between 410 and 440 to begin with. So according to Israel, nearly 260 have been taken out, but that still leaves a significant firing capability with Iran. Plus, Iran is quick to rebuild. They lost nearly 200 missile launchers in last year's war. But within 8 months, they built back the whole arsenal. Also, don't forget the drones. Iran has thousands of Shahid drones in.
But I wonder if they're going to have a chance to rebuild all these things, to replace them in the middle of the war. 8 months' time was a good slack time for Iran to replace its weapons. But at this point, can they also produce that kind of weapons, that number of missiles, while still fighting, engaged in the war?
Underground facilities, firing them is a lot easier than firing missiles. So the bottom line is this: Israel and the US have demonstrated spectacular military superiority, but Iran still retains sizable capabilities, which is why a battlefield outcome appears so distant. Let's look at diplomacy instead. Donald Trump says he is talking to Iran's regime. At the same time, he admitted he does not know who's in charge in Tehran.
They're negotiating. And we always talk. When, you know, somebody said, well, would you talk? Why would you even talk to them? I talk to everybody because sometimes good things come out of it. But I don't know if they're ready yet.
Wow. They're negotiating, but you don't know, Mr. President, whether they're ready or not yet. I'm just surprised. You negotiated directly with the Iranis? Is that what you're telling us, Mr. President? Well, this will be the first news to do so, to be exposed, because we know that the Iranians have said so far, according to the news, to the news everywhere, that they will continue the war until the end. But this is what the president is saying. Is that true?
They're taking a pounding. I don't know if they're ready yet. And we don't even.
You're going to hit them and make them negotiate with you at the same time. Isn't this contradictory, Mr. President? This is just the way I feel like. You're pounding them, but I don't know. Do you want them to stop completely? Is that what you want, Mr. President?
Know their leaders. Look, all of their leaders are dead, as far as we know, but they're all dead. We don't know who we're dealing with.
You don't know who you're dealing with. Yet you say you negotiated with them, Mr. President. This is contradictory. All of them are dead. The leaders are dead. You don't know who you're dealing with, but yet you are negotiating. Well, okay, let's continue.
That's far from reassuring. Trump basically said he doesn't know who he's talking to. As always, Iran has rejected this claim. Tehran says the war will continue as long as necessary. Trump's other new project is the Strait of Hormuz. He wants other countries to send warships to the region, basically escort containers out of danger. But US allies are not on board. Asian countries like Australia and Japan have rejected the idea, and yesterday European countries huddled together.
Almost the whole world the world as a unit has rejected this idea. The Europeans have rejected it. Australia has rejected it. So what is the next choice?
Their response was simple. First end the fighting, then we can think about escorting the ships.
Have to find, diplomatic ways to keep this open so that we don't have a, food crisis, fertilizers crisis, energy crisis in the world.
So you would imagine some kind of diplomatic solution, and then European navies could be involved there. Is that more likely?
Yes, that is what member states were saying. I mean, after the hostilities have stopped, then the case might be different.
But at that time, America should have lost the war, because what we're asking for is change of the government in Iraq under U.S. supervision. But now negotiating itself will mean American defeat. By default logic, ladies and gentlemen, the way I understand it, because that's not what America wanted. Okay, Iraqis only have to survive. I'm sorry, Iranians have only survived this war to win. So how does this go? Is there any flip of ideas? Flip of, is there any change of policies in this situation? What does this tell us? Let's continue a little bit and see what happens.
So far, this has been Europe's position. If the fighting ends, we can think about escorts. Of course, Trump is spinning the rejection. He now says he doesn't need anybody's help to escort ships. And forget escorting ships. Trump says he doesn't even need the Strait of Hormuz.
I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. It always bothered me that we're protecting and we don't need them. We didn't need them before we started dig we must. Dig me must. That's the Trump policy of lots of oil. And we...
Well, Mr. President, if you don't need them, why do you have to ask them to help you out of this problem? If you really don't need them. By the way, does this mean you have accepted the rejection amicably? I mean, I just cannot understand. This is not popular at all. The Europeans have rejected it. The Asians have rejected it. The Africans won't get involved in this one. All the whole world actually is against this idea. So he doesn't need any help from anybody. Not from the UN. Of course, this thing is going on out of the control of the United Nations and everybody else in the world. He wants to continue this war until when? Without help, without assistance. And the amount of damage that America is receiving in this experience.
didn't use them very much. It used to be at 10%. Now it's at almost zero. We don't need, we don't need oil. We have all the oil we need for ourselves.
Wow. Okay. He doesn't need oil, but the rest of the world do. We all need oil in the whole world. You understand? All the countries, all the societies, Europeans, Japanese, Chinese, Indians, everybody wants oil for survival, South America included. Of course, we Americans have oil, but how about the world? For the world to use oil from the Middle East, this Hormuz stuff has to be available for transportation. About 3,000 ships are stuck there. They cannot move. This is actually the volume of this Hormuz a day, 3,000 ships every day. America will have oil. How about the war? But doesn't this signify American defeatism, ladies and gentlemen? Is this what America fought for? What was the purpose then? Just to end up finally using our own oil. Probably we're getting some oil from Venezuela, of course. Is that what we're talking about? How about the rest of them? The Venezuelan oil has come to be under control of America to a certain extent. America allows it or not. But how about the rest of the world? Okay.
Classic Trump confusion. First, he asked countries to secure the Strait of Hormuz. They refused. Now he says he doesn't need the strait. The question is, did no one plan for this? Did American war planners miscalculate Iran's intentions? From all accounts, the answer is yes. In fact, Trump says no one warned him that Iran would strike Gulf countries. Listen to this.
Well, before we go to his ideas, it doesn't look like we had full knowledge of what was happening in Iran itself, as to what extent the development was going on in arms. As this kind of power. You understand what I'm talking about? So where were we at? We thought we knew everything about it. I think there is a big vacuum, a big gap in between, even within the government itself.
So they hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. Nobody expected that. We were shocked. Are you surprised that nobody briefed you ahead of time that might be their retaliation?
Nobody, no. The greatest experts, nobody thought they were going to hit. They were, I wouldn't say friendly countries. They were like neutral. They lived with them for years. Peter, they were going to take over the Middle East.
No, Mr. President, you didn't expect them to do that? Well, of course, they were friendly to a certain extent, as you said, but the military bases, American bases, military bases and communication systems weren't these places where we actually attacked Iran from. I don't understand. You didn't expect these places to be hit by Iranians while you were actually attacking them, surveying them, looking at them, watching them, doing all the kind of surveillance for them to be attacked by your weapons. You didn't know they would retaliate. You didn't know the places where you were targeting Iran would be targets of Iran in this war, Mr. President. I don't understand.
That's frankly unbelievable. Iran's supreme leader himself gave the warning. He threatened to strike Gulf bases and oil fields, and yet no one in the White House knew that this would happen. If true, this is quite worrying. Trump's own officials are getting disillusioned by this campaign. In fact, today we saw the first major exit. The director of America's Counterterrorism Center has resigned. He says Iran did not pose any imminent threat to the United States. He also says Trump was pressured by Israel to start this war, and therefore he quit.
Well, that means the government is breaking down a piece at a time. This may be the beginning. I have no idea where it's going to end.
Now, all of this reveals a lack of depth in planning and preparation. They did not prepare for Gulf attacks. They did not prepare for the Hormuz shutdown. They did not prepare for the regime to survive. Trump is basically winging a war in front of our eyes.
The world doesn't fit in boxes, so why should you?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I found this video interesting because I think there's a lot of confusion going on within the American government itself. You know, a piece at a time, somebody leaves and then the next one follows. I have no idea if the government can survive. I have no idea how much time it has to recover from this damage. I don't believe there will be negotiations. And the Iranis seem to be determined to protect themselves. Even though they're taking a lot of pounding, they're responding likewise. You understand what I'm saying? To the point where they can just go for a little distance, but can America go? For how long can America go? The Iraqis have sympathy from the whole world, from the Europeans, from South Americans, from Africa in general, from American people, even from the Israelis. By yourself alone. You want to continue this war? To change the government in Iran and taking pounding at the same time? And how long are the neighbors, the U.S. allies going to tolerate this kind of punishment? I found this very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and please try to support the other channel, my English channel, and I'll show you right now which one it is. This is the channel that I'm trying to develop. I just try to put my English videos right here for international audience in the long run. Please develop it here and now. Eritrea here and now. Please develop it. And then I'm going to post all my English videos in this channel. And I appreciate you if you go and see them right there instead of just in this Tigrinya and Amharic channel, because it's tedious. It's very hard to do 3 languages in one channel. So I appreciate you. I'll see you next time. We're going to come and inform you about the development until hopefully something comes to end it from reliable sources. Again, the artificial intelligence is playing its game. Let's say, people are using it to fabricate a lot of ideas, a lot of BSs. Please select media that you choose to listen to. Okay, because some of them are fake. You don't want to have fake media, fake news. And we try to bring you what is important right here from reliable sources, and enjoy your show. Make sure, like I always say, your life is here and now. Try to be here and now. Don't let your mind take you somewhere else, ladies and gentlemen, because your body is here and now. Your mind has to be at that spot for you to synchronize your body and your spirit, and then experience what they call life. I'll see you next time. I love you.